Okay, today's lesson plan is inspecting, maintaining a skill saw, and changing the blade. It is important that your skill saw is in good working order, so it's been maintained properly, so it will function properly and safely and reduce the risk of injuries. At the end of this lesson plan, you should be able to demonstrate the inspection process. You should be able to demonstrate how to change a blade, and you should be able to explain the process of checking the oil and changing the oil if necessary. So first things first, we want to inspect the saw before we take it out. We want to check the cord first. We always want to unplug it before it's inspected. This cord has a ground prong on it, so you want to make sure that that ground prong is not loose, it's firmly attached, that way you know it's getting a good ground. After that, we want to look the length of the cord. We want to look for any cuts, nicks, frays, exposed wire. Any of that could cause a hazardous situation, so we'll just look down the length of the cord. This one looks like it's in pretty good condition. We also want to check where the cord goes into the grip housing. I'm going to make sure that this is firmly seated in there. The rubber hasn't been pulled back, exposing wires. Next, we want to go over the body of the skill saw. We want to look at the handle. Go all over the handle, make sure there's no cracks. None of the bolts are loose. The switch automatically returns back to off. We want to look through all the housing, make sure there's no cracks in the housing. We want to make sure that the safety guard functions properly. It should retract back to its location here. Sometimes whenever these are used in inclement weather like rain, the sawdust will get built up in here and it'll keep this from retracting. So you're going to want to get in there, clean that out, make sure this is functioning properly. Our depth adjustment, we want to check and make sure that our depth adjustment works properly. So you loosen this handle here, and you can set it to whatever depth you wish, depending on the material you're cutting through, and lock that back down and make sure that it's firmly locked in place. We want to check the handle, make sure the handle's nice and tight. There's no cracks in the handle. We want to check our angle adjustment. So we loosen this handle, and we can adjust the angle of the table. Set it to whatever angle you wish, tighten this back down, make sure it's firmly seated. Next, we're going to change the saw blade. So you need the tool that comes with the skill saw. If you look right here, there's a button. This button locks the blade in place so you can loosen it. So you'll press that button in and you'll rotate to the right. It's the opposite for taking the blade off. Usually it's righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. In this case, it's righty-loosey. So we'll rotate it to the right. Remove our bolt, remove our retaining washer, and then we slide our guard up and we pick the blade up and pull it out. It's important to note which way the teeth are facing. The teeth are going to be facing towards the front of the saw. That's the way the blade rotates, which will allow you to cut through the material. Next, we want to take our new blade. If you notice on this one, there's a diamond shape in the middle of it. This one is round, but it has a punch out. So you want to set it on something firm. Take a hammer and a punch of some sort. And now we have a diamond shaped hole there. We want to make sure that this lines up with our diamond-shaped arbor and it's firmly seated. Now that it's firmly seated, also make sure that your teeth are facing the right way. Notice that the blade won't wobble whenever it's seated right. Take your retaining washer, line it up with the square. Take your bolt, and we're turning it lefty-tighty. Once we get it firmly seated, we'll go back to our blade lock, take our tool and tighten it down. This needs to be snug. You don't want to over tighten it. You may bend the saw blade. Next, I'm going to demonstrate how to check the oil. There's a plug right here. It's the same tool used for check the oil. You want to loosen your depth adjustment all the way down to where the saw is sitting level. We'll take our bolt out to check the oil. This one is lefty-loosey. So you want to take the plug out, inspect the plug. It has a washer right around the base here. You want to make sure that the washer's in good shape. This one looks good. Then you want to check the oil, make sure the oil's a nice kind of golden brown. If it's black, then you probably want to replace the oil. To make sure that it's has the proper amount of oil in it, you'll take your pinky and just dip it in there, and you should get about a 1/4 inch in there. That's the right amount of oil. So that oil looks good. Clean the plug off. You can dip your pinky in there and get a little bit of oil. Make sure that the ring has a little bit of oil on it, the washer, before you replace the plug. So now I've shown you how to inspect a skill saw properly, check the cord for damage, make sure the ground prong is there, inspect the casing of the skill saw, make sure that the safety latch closes on its own, how to properly adjust for depth, how to properly adjust for an angle, how to change the blade, and how to check the oil. If you do end up needing to change the oil, you just plug it in, run it for a few minutes, get the oil nice and warmed up, and then you would set it up on a stand of some sort where it will drain into a cup or something. Once it's done draining, flip her back over to level, and you'll take the proper oil and fill it back up just to where you stick your pinky in there and you have some oil on the tip of your pinky. You don't want to overfill it. So now you should be able to demonstrate the inspection process, demonstrate how to change a blade, and explain how to change and check the oil.